I did something constructive. I'm sure I've done a lot of awful things, but all I want is to be remembered favorably. It is rare for celebrity marriages to last. Dolly Parton, however, is a notable exception. For more than half a century, she has been blissfully married to the same man. A remarkable accomplishment, particularly in the public eye and without children. We'll look more closely at the heartwarming tale of Dolly's long-lasting marriage, her family life, her amazing profession, and her personal reasons for not having children in this video. Stay in as we reveal some of the lesser-known but incredibly touching facts about this cherished figure and the unwavering affection that has subtly helped her along the way. The beginnings of Dolly. Dolly Parton, whose real name is Rebecca Parton, was born in a tiny cabin near Pittman Center, Tennessee, on January 19, 1946. She was the fourth of A. Lee Caroline and Robert Lee Parton, Sr.'s 12 children. Dolly was raised in a big family, and the ideals, hardships, and rich customs of rural East Tennessee influenced her early years. Her great-great-grandmother, Rebecca Whitted, was honored by her name, Rebecca, which connected her to a lengthy family history. To support the family, Dolly's father worked hard as a construction worker and tobacco farmer. Even though he had a tobacco plantation and some land, the family could not be supported by the farm alone. Dolly respected her father's keen business acumen and his will to put in a lot of effort for his family's prosperity. Even though he was not very literate, Avi Lee, Dolly's mother, was just as strong. She had 11 pregnancies, including twins, and 12 children by the time she was 35. Dolly believes that AI's extensive knowledge of ancient Appalachian ballads, which were passed down from their Welsh ancestors, is the reason behind her mother's musical ability. The family was quite devout and frequently went to church, where Jake Owens, Dolly's uncle, was a Pentecostal preacher. Dolly's formative years were significantly influenced by her faith. Dolly's family relocated from Pittman Center to a farm on Locust Ridge when she was very small. This location had special meaning for her and served as a constant source of inspiration for her art. Both the song My Tennessee Mountain Home, which Dolly composed in the 1970s, and the model of their former cabin at her Dollywood theme park pay homage to those origins. With the assistance of her brother Bobby, Dolly was able to purchase the farm in the late 1980s. Even though it had previously been sold, she then made improvements to preserve this unique aspect of her history, living in a tiny one-bedroom hut and relying primarily on what the farm could offer. Dolly's family was extremely poor. According to a heartwarming birth story, her father gave a bag of cornmeal to the doctor who delivered her, a story that Dolly later adapted into a song that paid tribute to Dr. Thomas Turf. The struggles and modest upbringing she experienced are vividly reflected in many of her early songs, like Coat of Many Colors and In the Good Old Days. When times were bad, Dolly found solace in music from a young age. Growing up in Cleveland's Church of God congregation, at the age of 6, she started performing in public at church in Tennessee. She began learning to play the guitar at the age of 7. Additionally, her uncle supported her developing musical abilities by giving her a guitar when she was 8 years old. Despite having a huge family, it's noteworthy that Dolly never had children of her own. Rather, she and her goddaughter have a strong maternal attachment. It is helpful to examine the course of her extraordinary career in order to fully comprehend this special relationship and her personal journey, one that was full of successes, setbacks, and the steadfast spirit of a mountain girl from Tennessee, who had a successful career as a prodigy. Dolly became involved in the entertainment business at a very young age. She began singing on TV and radio broadcasts in East Tennessee when she was a young child. She had already had a big influence on The Cass Walker Show on WWIVK Radio and WBIR-TV in Knoxville by the time she was 10 years old. She was given the chance to perform at the esteemed Grand Ole Opry when she was 13 years old. She recorded the single Puppy Love for a tiny Louisiana company named Gold Band Records during this early stage. She met Johnny Cash while doing this, and he encouraged her to follow her gut in her line of work. Dolly relocated to Nashville in 1964 after completing her high school education in Sevier County. She became successful as a songwriter after signing with Combined Publishing. She co-wrote a number of hits with her uncle, Bill Owens, that reached the charts, such as Fuel to the Flame, later in 1967, The Company You Keep for Bill Phillips that same year, and Put It Off Until Tomorrow in 1966. Artists such as Hank and Kitty Wells during this period. Williams Jr. also recorded Dolly's compositions and praised her excellent songwriting and vocal abilities. By 1965, Dolly was 19 years old and signed to Monument Records. She initially pitched herself as a pop vocalist and put out numerous singles. The only song that made it into the rankings, though, was Happy Happy Birthday Baby, which fell short of the Billboard Hot 100. Monument Records was hesitant to record Dolly in the country music genre because they felt her distinctive high soprano voice wasn't appropriate for the genre, despite her strong desire to pursue it. The song Put It Off Until Tomorrow was recorded by Bill Phillips in 1966, when Dolly contributed uncredited harmony vocals. Her company ultimately agreed to let her record country music. After the song peaked at number 6 on the country chart, Dumb Blonde, which peaked at number 24 on the country chart, and Something Fishy, which peaked at number 17, were among the songs on Dolly's 1967 debut studio album. Hello, I'm Dolly. Together with her co-hosting job with country music icon Porter Wagoner, Dolly's singing career took off after these triumphs. They were dubbed irresistible forces in the country music genre as a result of their enchanted pair combination. Her song Joshua, which narrates the tale of two lonely people finding love, became her first #1 country hit in 1971. By dominating the charts with a series of #1 singles, such as the melancholic 1973 composition, Jolene, and the well-known I Will Always Love You, which was published in 1974 as a tribute to Porter Wagoner following the breakup of their romance. Dolly continued to easily demonstrate that she was a legend to be reckoned with. Whitney Houston covered her classic song, I Will Always Love You, for the 1992 movie, The Bodyguard. The song gained popularity after Whitney's performance, spending 14 weeks at the top of the pop charts, and going on to become one of the all-time best-selling songs. In an interview, Dolly stated that the success of the song brought in a sizable sum of money, which she joked amusingly enabled her to purchase numerous inexpensive wigs. Dolly worked on the 1993 album, Honky Tonk Angels, alongside fellow country music icons, Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette. She and Vince Gill recorded a famous duet of I Will Always Love You the next year. With the help of Alison Krauss and Patty Loveless, Dolly explored the music of her Appalachian roots on the 1999 album, The Grass is Blue. She received her 6th Grammy Award for Best Bluegrass Album with this album. She was also admitted into the Country Music Hall of Fame that same year, a noteworthy acknowledgement of her genre-defining achievements. With her 2008 studio album Backwoods Barbie, which included country classics like Better Get to Living and Jesus and Gravity, Dolly's creative productivity continued. Re-recorded versions of her songs from the Broadway musical 9 to 5 were included on her 2011 CD Better Day. In August 2020, Dolly's first Christmas CD, A Holly Dolly Christmas, was released after a 30-year hiatus. The album, which featured outstanding performances by Miley Cyrus, Michael Bublé, Willie Nelson, and Billy Ray Cyrus, demonstrated her ongoing appeal and versatility as a musician. Dolly Parton made some exciting announcements regarding her debut rock album, Rockstar, in November 2022, following her induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was released on November 17, 2023, and featured some amazing covers as well as some intriguing collaborations with other rock icons. Prince's Purple Rain, Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball, The Rolling Stones' I Can't Get No Satisfaction, and Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven were among the oldies she performed. In essence, Dolly's relationship with Miley and Billy Ray Cyrus is more complex. We will examine their special relationship later on, but they were more than just artists who worked together. Success in literature and film. In addition to her remarkable musical accomplishments, Dolly had a vast filmography that started in the 1980s and continued till later. She performed a cover of her own song, I Will Always Love You, in the film 9 to 5 and The Best Little House in Texas. She starred in movies like Steel Magnolia 1989, and in the 1990s and 2000s, she made appearances in TV series and movies. She also made iconic cameos in movies, including Joyful Noise 2012, and Dolly Parton's 2015 film Coat of Many Colors. The biopic focused on Dolly's early years, and featured Olivia Aylan Lind as a young Dolly and Jennifer Nettles as Dolly's mother. Her television appearances also included the 2019 Netflix series, Dolly Parton's Heartstrings, and the 2020 movie Dolly Parton's Christmas in the Square, in which she portrayed an angel. A thorough documentary called Personal History is also available. A detailed account of Dolly Parton's remarkable life may be found in the 20 to 20 A&E documentary. It discusses her modest upbringing in Nashville, the difficulties she encountered, and her many achievements as a performer and songwriter. In 1994, Dolly released her book, Dolly, My Life and Other Unfinished Business, which included intimate details and insights about her life and work. Dream More, Celebrate the Dreamer in You, published in 2012, is one of the books she has written and produced. In addition, she and James Patterson co-wrote the thriller Rose Run in 2022, which focused on a country music artist. Now let's look at specifics about Dolly's personal life, especially her marriage and how her lengthy work history relates to her lack of children. Personal life and marriage. Dolly and 23-year-old Carl Dean secretly married on Memorial Day, 1966 in Ringgold, Georgia, which is roughly 150 miles from Nashville, when Dolly was only 20. In order to prevent the marriage from being publicized in the Tennessee press, they made the decision to keep it a secret after 2 years of dating. The only witnesses were Dolly's mother, the pastor I. Lee, and his spouse. It was clear that Carl had little interest in the entertainment industry prior to Dolly's rise to fame. Carl reportedly said on the way home from a red carpet event in 1966, with Dolly, I'm thrilled for you and I wish you all the best, but please don't ask me to attend another one of those terrible events ever again. Carl and Dolly have been married for 57 years, and during that time, Carl has been very private and hasn't been seen in public with Dolly very often. Dolly affectionately calls him her biggest admirer in spite of this. As long as I don't try to drag him into it, he's always supporting me, Dolly said in an interview with People magazine during the 2019 premiere of her Netflix series. He has always been her most significant backer behind the scenes, she said. On the other hand, he feels uneasy going with her to public events. Dolly stated that she would prefer to attend events with someone else, and that choice never bothers Carl or makes him feel jealous. It's interesting to note that despite the appearance of perfection, Dolly Parton's marriage was fraught with difficulties. Let's examine those challenges. Marital difficulties. Even in a really strong partnership, Dolly Parton has her vulnerabilities and insecurities, despite her fiercely independent personality. A real-life incident in which a red-headed bank teller fell in love with her husband Carl served as the inspiration for her well-known hit song, Jolene. When Dolly saw Carl spending a lot of time at the bank, she stated in an NPR interview that it became something of a joke between them. Even though they didn't have much money, Dolly thought the bank teller was taller than she was, for example. Dolly thought of herself as petite and curvaceous, whereas the teller was about 6 feet tall. This at the time greatly exacerbated her concerns and feelings of insecurity, and it served as the basis for the song Jolene. It's interesting to note that Carl has always been the only man Dolly has ever been able to replace in her life. She has said that she had an affair at one point, but she overcame it and remained faithful to Carl because of her faith. The pair still enjoys living a modest life together. She no longer regrets their choice, and is incredibly thankful for the bonds she has built with her younger siblings, nieces, and nephews, despite not having any biological children. She told Billboard that as her concerns about the matter have subsided, she frequently asks her older self, "Aren't you glad we didn't have kids?" Dolly and Carl, however, are still committed to caring for Dolly's extended family, and have also been active in supporting youngsters through her Dollywood Foundation. Dolly enjoys spending time with her hubby when she's not performing or doing charitable work. After leaving the asphalt paving business, Carl now loves to go on wild vacations and adventures with Dolly, savoring the simplicity of those times. They even spend date nights in their camper, occasionally stopping via the drive-thru at Taco Bell. Dolly loves to read, cook, and spend time with her hubby. Carl and Dolly, the Queen of Dollywood, celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary with a lavish ceremony in Nashville. Carl consented to the ceremony, according to Dolly, provided that the photo rights be sold and the proceeds donated to a worthy cause. In 2016, Dolly said, "If I could do it all over, I would, and we did." She jokingly added that she is focused on their ongoing dedication to one another, and that she is resolved to take Carl into the next 50 years of their adventure together. Dolly's reasons for choosing not to have children. Dolly explained in detail in an interview why she chose not to become a mother. She clarified that although having children is what people would expect of her, it wasn't a top priority for her. It's clear that having kids wasn't a top priority for her because of her hectic work, music career, and frequent travels. Dolly stated that she would have been a stay-at-home mom who worried fervently about her kids if she had any. Dolly said that she would find it difficult to bring a child into the world, given its current status. She feels that God forbade her from becoming a mother, in order for her to love all children unconditionally and support them whenever possible. Oddly enough, that wasn't the original idea. Early on in their relationship, Dolly and her husband thought they would have children. According to the aforementioned 2014 interview with Billboard magazine, she even disclosed that they had decided on a name beforehand. Her failure to conceive was exacerbated by the diagnosis of endometriosis, a painful illness that can result in infertility. In addition, Dolly revealed in an interview with Closer Weekly that she had a partial hysterectomy in 1984, when she was 36 years old, in order to treat her health problems. During this surgery, the entire uterus and a portion of the cervix are removed. Dolly revealed that she went through a severe depressive episode after this, and even considered suicide at one point following the procedure. She discussed the grief and sense of loss she went through in her memoirs, characterizing it as a pivotal time in her life. She said it was a terrible time for her, so it's not surprising that she doesn't talk about it often. Prospering, despite difficulties becoming pregnant. Dolly Parton has made it clear that she doesn't feel particularly guilty about not having kids. She responded to a question about it by saying, "I haven't missed it like I thought I might." However, as she and her husband Carl have gotten older, they occasionally regret not having children. Their honest communication and sense of humor are a pillar of their relationship, and Dolly frequently characterizes Carl as brilliantly funny and delightfully witty. Above all, Dolly cherishes their love and respect for one another. Even though she never became a mother herself, she attributes her strong sense of humor to both her father's and mother's families, and it has always been a fundamental part of their relationship. When they lived in Nashville, Dolly and Carl took on the role of caring for some of her younger siblings. As a result, their nieces and nephews started lovingly referring to them as Uncle P.A. and Aunt Granny, which even inspired the name of one of Dolly's Dollywood restaurants, giving her legacy a personal touch. Unfortunately, one of these close relationships she developed didn't work out. We will also briefly discuss the sad details, including Dolly's loss of her baby brother. Dolly recently talked about how hard it was for her to deal with the death of her younger brother, Larry, saying that his loss caused her a lot of grief, and that the things we face in life help to define who we are. She shared all of this and more in a movie about her life, a heartwarming tale about Larry that touched 13.03 million people. In her book, Dolly Parton, Songteller, My Life and Lyrics, Dolly explores her feelings about her brother's passing, explaining how she had prepared and worked to be there for him, to act as a sort of mother figure. But when Larry died, it broke her heart. She said she still cries when she thinks of her little brother, and losing him was like losing a child. Additionally, it was her first time losing a loved one, and she had to deal with the intense feelings of sadness, grief, and loss. Dolly also explained the meaning behind the lyrics of Jeannie's Afraid of the Dark in her book, that the song's surface message is about the abrupt and unexpected passing of children, similar to what happened to her brother Larry. But even now, whenever she performs songs like Jeannie's Afraid of the Dark or Me and Little Andy, she can't help but think about Larry and the profound impact he had on her life. It talks about a young girl who is scared of the dark. Despite the song's lack of commercial success, audiences always find it moving when Dolly sings it. Thankfully, there are some positive aspects of Dolly's relationship with children, such as her goddaughter Miley Cyrus and Miley having a real mother-child bond. Despite the fact that she is childless, Dolly Parton has a unique relationship with her goddaughter, Miley Cyrus, who lovingly refers to her as Aunt Dolly. Dolly has known Miley since before she was even born, as she disclosed on The Howard Stern Show, and the two have worked together on a number of musical endeavors. In a 2009 interview with Good Morning America, Dolly, who has known Miley since she was a newborn, said she has a great deal of respect for Miley, calling her an accomplished woman with a great mind, incredible talent, and strong business instincts. Miley's father, a well-known musician and Dolly's friend, asked her to be Miley's godmother, and she gladly accepted. Despite the lack of a formal godmother ceremony, Dolly is proud of Miley and loves her very much. Their bond is strong, and Miley has become like a family member to her. The depth of their relationship was evident when Miley went from being a Disney character to discovering her own adult identity. In an interview with The Sun, Dolly admitted that people struggled to accept Miley's development and maturity, and Miley herself stated that she needed to shed her Hannah Montana persona in order to be accepted for who she really was. During this time, some people saw her increasingly edgier behavior as a cry for help, but Dolly remained a constant source of support for her goddaughter. Although some fans may have found Miley's remarks harsh, Dolly understood the sentiment behind them and was more worried about the public's reaction and possible backlash than Miley herself, hoping that people wouldn't condemn and criticize her outright. Dolly was instrumental in changing the public's perception of Miley after the backlash, particularly when she was listed in the 2014 Times 100 list, saying she had always trusted Miley's skills and believed in her competence, and that audiences would eventually move on from that stage of her career. As she understood that Miley felt the need to take drastic measures to break free from her previous image, Dolly stood by her side throughout the time of Miley's self-discovery, providing support, guidance, and faith in her goddaughter's talent and potential. She also admitted that even her own perception of Miley Cyrus needed to change completely. Miley's intelligence and lovely voice are also acknowledged by Dolly, who stressed that Miley didn't have to go to extremes but that she accepted and recognized her choices. Dolly thought about her own career and how she had chosen her own path, so she didn't see why Miley couldn't follow in her footsteps. They still have a close relationship, both personally and professionally, and they have even worked together on important musical projects. Although the majority of the songs on Miley's 2017 album, Younger Now, were her own, she co-wrote the song Rainbow Land with Dolly. In an interview with Ellen DeGeneres, Miley said she was thrilled to have her godmother as a co-writer, and that she had gained a lot of knowledge from the experience. Later in 2020, Miley received an invitation from Dolly to sing a duet on the song Christmases from Parton's album, A Holly Dolly Christmas. Miley admitted to Graham Norton that Dolly personally contacted her and made the request based on facts, and that Dolly can get very upset if she doesn't hear back. I see Dolly as an inspiration and as a role model for staying true to one's values, regardless of success, Miley said, describing the special moment of singing a Christmas song with Dolly in the middle of a Los Angeles summer. Miley has also praised Dolly's character, gushing about how she treats people with love and respect. Success should never change a person's core values, Miley said in an interview with Cosmopolitan, adding that what truly sets her apart is her angelic nature as a human being. In an interview with The Tonight Show, Miley said she admired Dolly not only for her artistic and entertaining abilities, but also for her resilience, calling her an enduring and phenomenal artist. In the early 1990s, Dolly personally committed to children in the 7th and 8th grades, promising them $500 each if they completed high school. In addition to her musical endeavors, Dolly has flourished in many other areas, including being a mother to numerous children. The Buddy program was a huge success, lowering the dropout rate for these two grade levels from 35% to 6%, and encouraging community members to make additional contributions to ensure the long-term decline in dropout rates. Dolly and her Smoky Mountain Enterprises also raised $700,000 to support recovery efforts following the devastating floods that struck Middle Tennessee in October 2021. As advised by her friend and fellow country music legend, Loretta Lynn, who was among the first to offer assistance following the 2016 Sevier County wildfires, Dolly named the United Way of Humphreys County as the receiver and distributor of the donation. As a way to repay the generosity shown to her during the wildfires, Dolly decided to donate to the recovery efforts in Middle Tennessee, hoping that the funds would provide the resources needed for the residents to recover from the disaster caused by the floods. Dolly expressed her gratitude for Loretta's support and the willingness of many others to help. Additionally, the Dollywood Company, which was first established by Dolly in 1988, announced in February 2022 that it would pay for all of its employees' educational costs. This program was funded by Dollywood's operational partner, Hersand Enterprises, and it was open to employees of Dollywood Parks and Resorts. Employees had access to more than 100 diploma, degree, and certificate programs in marketing, technology, finance, business administration, leadership, and other areas through Hersand's Grow You program, which partnered with 30 different learning partners. Additionally, the program offered financial assistance of up to $5,250 annually to students pursuing degrees in engineering, human resources, hospitality, and other fields. New employees can participate in the program as soon as they begin working for the company. In addition, Dolly has made a number of other child-focused charitable contributions, including a $1 million donation to the Pediatric Infectious Illness Research Fund at Nashville's Vanderbilt University Medical Center in June 2022. The purpose of this donation was to help the medical center's Pediatric Infectious Diseases Division with their research on infectious diseases, including transmission, antibiotic resistance, diagnosis, and treatment in children, especially those receiving cancer treatment. Dolly received the Carnegie Medal of Philanthropy in 2022 for her charitable work. The award, which is presented annually by the International Network of Carnegie Institutions, recognizes creative philanthropists. The pandemic canceled the 2021 ceremony, but Dolly was honored in 2022 for her outstanding contributions to a number of causes. Today, Dolly is still thriving in her music career, exploring the world of music with her daughter from a previous marriage, Miley Cyrus. We would like to know what you think about Dolly's life journey, so please leave a comment below and thank you for watching. She is still happily married to Carl, and their strong bond is undoubtedly set to last forever. To see more incredible videos, just click the play button on the video that is currently playing.